Shalum. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before an awakening, set-apart nation. To those who are drawn by the Almighty Father Yahuah, to Yahusha, His Word. But it is by His Word that we are drawn to Abba Yahuah's Spirit everywhere at all times, the Almighty One. His Word, represented by the name Yahusha. So when we say Yahusha, we're talking about the Word of Yahuah. And many people don't realize, how can you communicate with Yahuah, someone who is almighty, so powerful, but ignore His Word? For we are lower than the Malakim, or known as angels. And to communicate with us, He set the process by His Word. For Yahuah and Yahusha are one and the same. And in due season, those who are drawn into unity for this final exodus, for martyrdom, for Yahusha's name, will indeed grow to see and understand such words that I speak. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al. Bear with me 1 second. I want to make some adjustments here. Okay. Before I get into this message, I want to say this. The views expressed in these words that I speak do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, managers, shareholders, and or sponsors of this media platform. With that said, let's get started. In this segment of the Final Exodus, Countdown 2023, I want to address the matter of staging and positioning, knowing what to do for end times. There's a lot of people talking about what's going to happen, what is happening, talking about end time prophecies, but it's not much talk about what the Almighty Father is saying for us to be doing in preparation and in actions as being obedient to Him as He worked in us, through us, and through His chosen leaders. End times are here. There are no doubts that uncertainty is swelling, is rising among the children of Yashar'al and those in the outer court, those who are without. But to the Hebrews and Gentiles that are made one by Yahusha Mashiach, that are drawn by the Almighty Father, uncertainty need not be. To the undiscerning, sure. To the babe, yes. To those on milk, yes. But to those who are discerning and maturing and set apartness, we should have some idea of what it is we are to be doing. So for that, I say staging and positioning is critical for such a time as this. My brothers and sisters, it would be wise to identify priorities. What comes first? I've even heard people say, I got my bug out bag. Or I got my bug out bag, and my wife or my children, we got our bug out bags. Notwithstanding that there are limitations to whatever the size or the quantity in their bug out bag, something is missing. There are those who take the posture of the women, the maidens with the oil that's mentioned in the scriptures. There were 10 maidens, 5 had oil and 5 didn't. And those that did not got left out. So some people will grab that passage and hold on to it, thinking like, I got mine. Not realizing that in that I got mine, you're still missing some things. You see, Yashar'al, as end times ramp up, there will be times where some people have and some do not. There will be times of sharing. And there will be times of not sharing. For the reckless may just want to consume and take all that you have and not think about sharing. They use sharing for their benefit. We will see, O Yashar'al, that we will learn to discern the voice of Yahuah and know when to share and when not to share, when to hold on to and when to release. For such a time as this, O Yashar'al, we must be prepared and we must begin to discuss the realities when it comes to staging and positioning ourselves in the right place at the right time. Come with me, Yashar'al. Listen to these words. Discern the end goals and objectives. Goals is the end point. Objectives are the methods in which you reach the end point. So many people in academia or in the education system, on jobs, and even among our nation, don't know the difference between goals and objectives. The goal is the end point. The objective is the method, the process in which you reach that end point. I want to bring to your attention just a portion that talks about this final Exodus, and specifically to Isaiah 43, 5 through 7. For it reads, do not fear, for I am with you. I shall bring your seed from the east and gather you from the west. I shall say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. All those who are called by my name, whom I've created, formed, even made for my esteem. Let me read that last part. Whom I have created, formed, and made for my esteem. There are teachers, mores. There are some pastors, maybe even community heads and deacons, that are leading people to think that all of us will be gathered from the four corners of the earth before the physical return of Yahusha. This is not true. He said that he made for his esteem. Just think about the people who have died that will not make this journey. Just think about the people who will die before the journey takes place. You see, it's specific people whom he's chosen to fulfill his promise to Yashar'al. So don't be sucked in to think that all the Hebrews, all the set-apart children of Yashar'al, even the grafted ones grafted in, we all are going to be gathered before the physical return of Yahusha. That's a lie and a deception. And many people will take that to have comfort. And some will even take the attitude, well, you can't tell whether I'm going or not. Not realizing that judgment begins at the house of Yahuah. Not realizing there will be times of purging and times to come away. Not realizing some will be left behind due to unbelief. Not realizing that the scriptures talk about sometimes the Yahuah have given people the spirit of delusion because they didn't believe in the truth. Made for my esteem. For such a time as this, some of us will embark on the final Exodus, and some of us will not. Some of us will be martyrs for Yahusha's name. So we must gird up and know how to look physical death in the face and not worry what man can do. Let me continue, my brothers and sisters. Staging and positioning. Where are we? What do we have with us? What are we prepared to add to the things we have, and what are we prepared to release? Ezekiel chapter 20, 34 to 38 reads, I shall bring you out from the people and gather you out from the land, out of the lands where you are scattered, with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm and with wrath poured out. Now notice he said with a mighty hand, an outstretched arm, and wrath poured out. My brothers and sisters, I want you to know this, that it rains on the righteous and on the unrighteous. The Almighty Father is no respecter of persons. So some of us will be caught in the thick of things. But our perception should be that it is the plan and the will of the Almighty Father, and whatsoever happened to these bodies, our spirit will forever be with Him. We must understand an outstretched arm and wrath poured out. That wrath poured out is removing the obstacles that will impede or seek to prevent the promises of Yahuah from being fulfilled. Many of us don't look at that. Many of us don't realize that we may be caught in the destruction. But knowing that it's Yahuah's plan, do not fear what happens to the body, my brothers and sisters. He goes on to say, I'm in the 20th chapter of Ezekiel. 35 to 38. And I shall bring you into the wilderness of the people and shall enter into judgment with you face to face. Many people don't realize that judgment is him working through his leaders, his chosen leaders, or his chosen ones that he wants to speak, to execute correction and judgment, to bring about perfection to the body of Yashar'al. He said, as I entered into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Mizraim, so shall I enter into judgment with you, declares Master Yahuah. I shall make you pass under the rod, and you shall bring you into the bond of the covenant, and purge the rebels from among you. Do you not know that some among Yashar'al will be rebelling and fighting because they want to say one thing that's contrary to what the Almighty Father is executing? Yes, brothers and sisters. Some want to say a different name. Some want to say that they believe their practices are correct. There's a lot of things a lot of corrections are coming, my brothers and sisters. And it will be by the power and might of the Almighty Father that we will see him demonstrate what is necessary to fulfill his promise. From the land where they sojourn, I bring them out, but they shall not come into the land of Yashar'al, and you shall know that I am Yahuah. My brothers and sisters, end times are real. Do you not believe that the Almighty Father knows what it takes to make his plan come to fruition, to reality? Let's examine food and water management. There are people that say, I got bottles of water, and I got this, and I got water. How many people are teaching how to filtrate water? How to take water and pass it through rocks and sand and sticks and charcoal. Charcoal could be any burnt stick, burnt piece of wood. Not any, almost any. There's a process for filtering water. How many people are talking about the importance of being on track where rain comes and Yahuah brings water from the rain? How many people are talking about how do you identify spring water underground? You see, Yashar'al, in this final Exodus, there will be movement. And there will be the need for water and the need for food. And just like days of old, the Almighty Father supplied these things. So let us be mindful when it comes to food and water management. Are we holding on to foods that are salty, very salty, and make us thirsty that want to consume more water? Are those that are gathering, coming together, talking about water rationing, sharing, and when not to share? Food and water is a priority, my brothers and sisters. Fresh air, food, water, safe place. So what if you follow a leader or a group and they're taking you in the wrong direction? They're taking you in a direction where the water is little to none, or there is no food. You see, so the direction we go, my brothers and sisters, is important. How we stage ourselves to communicate and bring water or journey into areas where there's water, know how to filtrate it, is important. Positioning is important. Yashar'al or Yashar'al. So many may not want to talk about these matters. But it is important, to say the least. What about communication methods? Many nations, kindreds, and tongues, different languages. Do you know that not only are there different languages that's going to be among Yashar'al as we come together, but just in the so-called English language alone, we struggle with talking apples to apples. This is a season where communication should be as accurate as possible, as correct as possible. And one way to get it that way, my brothers and sisters, is through prayer and discerning what the Almighty Father is saying to us. It's not about somebody saying, well, that's not what I got out of it. Well, that's not my opinion. My opinion. It's not about opinion. It's about the living orders, the living guidance, the living direction from the Almighty Father. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, gird up and come away from the childish egos. Come away from the wicked grips of the wicked one. And discern that there will be leaders. There will be those who execute the judgment, the set apart judgment of the Almighty Father, to bring correction, discipline for such a time as this. Communication will be important, my brothers and sisters. We must learn to speak the same language, apples to apples. Understand what the living word of Yahuah is saying to us. For the Spirit cries out to the Spirit. The Spirit speaks to the Spirit. I'm saying our spirit, as it is guided, as they are guided by the Almighty Father, for we are one in Him. Know that, my brothers and sisters, communication. Don't be quick to say to someone, you don't want to hear what they have to say to the point where you can't receive it. Examine the seed, the function of the words. Know how to vet, know how to examine. This is important. For some will be purged or left behind because of their stubbornness. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to debate you. But I do invite your communications and your questions. Let us be as iron sharpening iron. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the will and the plan of the Almighty Father Yahuah and who He works through. And we must learn how to discern who those individuals are, when to speak, when to be silent. Let's examine all communication, my brothers and sisters, by getting to the seed, the function of it. And we will find that the wasted oxygen, the wasted time trying to get someone to use your words may be unnecessary. Yashar'al, staging and positioning, is something we must begin to think about. Have we given thought that we must move from one point to the next, and it's not going to all happen in one night or one day's journey? Where are the drivers of buses or semi-trucks or those who understand how to pull a trailer? Where are the operators who know how to set containers on dollies and fit the containers where people can get inside and be transported that way? Where are the drivers who know the capacities of any vehicle? How many can get on there? Who gets on there? Who doesn't? Where are the operators who know their limitations and know when to switch? These discussions must be had. Where are those who operate ships and work in shipyards? Yes, my brothers and sisters, there are those who are among the set-apart family of Yashar'al who have these skills. Where are those who are pilots, engineers of train? The discussion of transportation is important. Staging and positioning. We will come familiar with the word capacity, limits, and thresholds. You see, my brothers and sisters, as physical destruction gets intense, people will crowd to these different vehicles of transportation, for there will be forced migration. There will be sacrifices made. And some of you may have heard me say for this final exit, it will be mostly children. Why? Because the children ask questions. Why? What for? Why? Who? When? How? Many of us are old hats or older people are stuck on our ways. Don't think we need to ask questions. Believe we got it. But we know exactly what to do. But look around, O Yashar'al. Who among the adults are talking about what to do? Saying I got mine, that's not telling you what to do. Saying my family, I can't leave my family, that's not telling you what to do. Telling you there are going to be tsunamis and earthquakes or things are getting intense, that's not telling you what to do. Yashar'al, there are specific messages, specific communications. There will be time. Picture this, Yashar'al, since somebody might say, oh, he's a pedophile. He's trying to get our children. Picture this. Picture all that the tribulation describes, my brothers and sisters. And are you telling me in the face of massive destruction and transportation is occurring, movement is occurring, and if there's no room for you, that you're not going to tell someone that is in motion towards the final exit and say, here, save my child. If I can't be saved, at least save my child. You see, my brothers and sisters, I believe the Almighty Father has revealed to me many details and processes that will occur. I believe that I will be a major contributor towards this final exodus, especially for those of the set-apart family of Yashar'al, both Hebrews and Gentiles, that are on the Western Hemisphere. I believe I will be a contributor to guiding, as directed by the Spirit of Yahusha, those to the state of Virginia and loading up on container ships and ships and crossing the Atlantic in mass numbers. I believe I have seen many details, but back to the children. Are you telling me that you're selfish enough to say, if I can't go, my children not going? What about the wife or the husband? You see, in the face of love comes sacrifice. Some will say, if I can't go, I'll step back. Let my wife go. Let my child go. Some wives might say, let my husband go. I don't make those decisions, though, Yashar'al, but they will occur. These are realities of what will come to be. And we must begin to discuss the sacrifices that will be made, the separations that will come. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, remember these warnings, for there are shepherds who think they have it, but they are sadly mistaken. Consider these warnings to shepherds, to leaders, my brothers and sisters. Jeremiah 23 through 24, 23, 1 through 4 reads, Jeremiah 23, 1 through 4. Woe to the shepherds, destroying and scattering the sheep of my pasture, declares Yahuah. Therefore, thus said Yahuah, the Almighty One of Yashar'al, against the shepherds who feed my people. You have scattered my flock, driven them away, and have not tended to them. See, I am punishing you for the evil of your deeds, declares Yahuah. What do you think that punishment resembles? And why? Prepare to witness some shepherds be removed, some sickness unto death, some removed never to be seen again, some removed because of their disobedience. Some will be sharpened, disciplined, and repent and rise up stronger than they ever were. We must begin to look at the face, the characteristics of what is promised by the Almighty Father. He says, therefore thus says Yahuah, the Almighty One of Israel, against the shepherds who feed my people. You have scattered my flock, driven them away, have not tended to them. See, I am punishing you for the evil of your deeds, declares Yahuah. Therefore I shall gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and shall bring them back to their fold. And they shall bear an increase, and I shall raise up shepherds over them, and they shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be discouraged, nor shall they be lacking, declares Yahuah. You see, he said he will raise up shepherds. Do we know how to vet? Do we know how to examine? Do we know how to discern the shepherds of Yahuah? Or are we so hung up on, I am not paying attention to what man's saying. I'm not going to follow no man. My brothers and sisters, we're not supposed to follow man that is being guided by his flesh or wickedness. But a man used by Yahuah, a man raised up by Yahuah, is a different story. But we must be able to discern the difference. And we shall. We will. For those who will fulfill what is expected, what is prophesied. Come with me to Matthew 23, verse 25 through 28, my brothers and sisters. It reads, woe to you scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are filled with plunder and unrighteousness. Do you think that the shepherds of Yashar'al are those who walking around supposedly in Hebrew garb, flashy and fancy, and vain? Do you believe they look clean outside and they're tough and you believe that's the set apart shepherd, think again. For inside many of these who dress in these so-called Hebrew garbs and garments with icons that violate one of the commandments by putting menorah and Yahuwah's name on it, or even those who are idolizing the lion and putting a lion's head. My brothers and sisters, all this flair, pomp, and circumstances will prove in many cases there are those who think they look like leaders but are hypocrites. It said, because you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly indeed look well, but inside are filled with dead men's bones and all uncleanness. We must begin to discern and identify those who fit that bill, who fit that description. It says, so you too outwardly indeed appear righteous to men, but inside you are filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness. If the shoe fit, my brothers and sisters, if the shoe fits, but we must be able to identify the size of the shoe, the dimensions of the shoe. Or should I say, if the words fit, we must be able to discern the words and measure them against what is occurring. Remember these words as well, my brothers and sisters. John, 15th chapter, verse 1 through 8. John, 15th chapter, verse 1 through 8. It reads, I am the true vine, excuse me, and my Father is the gardener. Every branch in me that bears no fruit he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit he prunes so that it bears more fruit. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Stay in me, and I stay in you, as the branch is unable to bear fruit of itself unless it stays in the vine. So neither you unless you stay in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who stays in me and I in him, he bears much fruit. Because without me you are able to do naught. If anyone does not stay in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up. And they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you stay in me and my words stay in you, you shall ask whatever you wish, and it shall be done for you. See, people don't understand when it says stay in me and my words stay in you, you can ask. People think, they just take the part where you can ask whatever you want. It's not about asking whatever you want. It's about being in set apartness, being in obedience and worship to the Almighty Father. For he will guide us on what to pray and what to ask for. And those things will be things according to his will. It say, in this my Father is esteemed, that you bear much fruit, and shall be my taught ones. Yashar'al. We must consider people and participants, young to old. Some will have resources and supplies, some will not. Some will share, some will not. Some will release things that they have and sacrifice for others, and some will not. It is the Spirit of Yahuwah that will direct us on when and how to govern ourselves for this final exodus, and as movements ramp up, my brothers and sisters. The final exodus requires movement. Let us discern what is ordered. It would be wise, my brothers and sisters, to know what questions to ask, what conversations to have, what commitments to make, what decisions that will affect loved ones even. We must discern what's ordered. Do you know how to identify what is ordered by the Almighty Father? If not, it's time to learn. There will be drivers, operators, and different modes of transportation. Some will be comfortable, some will not. The Most High did not say in this final exodus we will be gathered from the four corners of the earth in first class or with the most extreme of comfort. That wasn't in the promise. The promise is to get you to the promised land, to get those who he has chosen to the promised land. And in some cases along the journey, it's going to be a rough journey. I once had a sister tell me, I don't know if I can get on the ship. I get seasick. Not realizing the power and anointing of the Almighty Father to prevent that. I once had a boat, a 20-foot bayliner, for recreation use, going across parts of Lake Michigan. And one thing I learned about a boat, or Yashar'al, in a big body of water, when the winds are calm and the sea is calm, you can glide across it like butter, slide across it like oil. Quickly, you can get from one point to the next. But when the winds are choppy and rough, it is hard for that boat. Mine, granted, was a 20-footer, but I believe this also happens with other sea-bearing vessels, depending on their size and the size of the seas. But when the sea is calm, I'm saying this to say Yahuah will calm the sea, will make the journey somewhat bearable, O Yashar'al. If you doubt this, look at this climate change, my brothers and sisters. Examine. I want you to search currents slowing down. And you will see there's been evidence because of climate change and shifts that there are some currents in the Atlantic Ocean that are slowing down. That means they are calming down. And there are some parts of the Atlantic Ocean that is rough, where we see hurricane force winds starting from the west coast of Africa, making its way to the Western Hemisphere. It's about placement. It's about staging. It's about positioning. It's about timing. We must understand the different modes of transportation to get us to the point where we're crossing the ocean. Or if you are already in connected landmass, the journey to the promised land, we must understand where that is and where are the borders. It is my position that Yahudah holds the scepter. Yahudah will lead the charge of the gathering from the four corners of the earth. And that much and many of Yahudah are on the Western Hemisphere. Not all, many. For those who will cross seas, leaders will rise up. Modes of transportation will come. Guidance will come. Operators who understand how to navigate towards the promised land will come. Have these discussions, O Yashar'al, lest you find yourselves in a state of confusion, flux, not knowing where to go, when, and with whom. My brothers and sisters, I share this passage often. It is a passage that talks about examining all things. Test and examine qualifications and skills of potential guides and leaders. Do they know the difference between north and south, east and west? Do they know when the day begins and ends? Do they know when Shabbat begins and ends? Why? Because movement and timing is important. Do they know what to take and what not to take? Do they know how much to put in the bag and when to not take anything? You see, O Yashar'al, there will be times when the Almighty Father will say, leave everything. Don't go back in the house, just leave. Because he is saying, I got someone else that I've given favor with supplies and resources. There may be some with supplies and resources and say, I'm weighted down. And the Almighty Father is going to say, I've given you the strength, the fortitude, and the ability to carry these resources from point A to point B. You see, we're not supposed to be worried about tomorrow, my brothers and sisters, but we are to trust Yahuah. Trust that he is a provider as he has promised. On the matter of examining, come with me to Philippians chapter 1, verse 8 through 11. Yashar'al, Yashar'al, hear these words, pray on these words, and learn how to examine. For the Almighty One is my witness, how I long for you all with the affection of Yahusha Messiah. And this I pray that your love might extend more and more in knowledge and all discernment. for you to examine the matters that differ, in order to be sincere and not stumbling until the day of Messiah, being filled with the fruit of righteousness through Yahusha Messiah, to the esteem and praise of the Almighty One. Hear these words, O Yashar'al. There are sluggards, lazy ones, individuals who are even cocky, overanxious, who think they know how to examine things. There are those who are quick to say, Yah told them. The Almighty Father is guiding them. And they're too lazy to put it to the test and see if indeed the Almighty One is guiding them. They attack the obedient and bear false witness against the obedient who bring corrections. But this will slowly come to an end among those being gathered for the final exodus, my brothers and sisters. Test, examine. There will be those equipped with supplies and resources, and there will be those who know when to share. You see, my brothers and sisters, there's a time and place for everything. There will be water rations and food rations, and there will be times where we will have an overabundance. But we must know how to respond correctly and wisely. Yashar'al. Those who talk about, I got mine, are going to find out that it's something they're missing, and they're going to be lacking. And where they're lacking, somebody else has. And where those who are lacking, they will find that there are those who have. Balance will come, oh brother, oh sister of mine. Balance and focus will come. Priorities will be established. It would be wise to know what to do in the midst of adjustments and corrections, oh Yashar'al. You see, wasting time and oxygen, arguing and debating, battling with egos, it's going to be a non-starter for many. It's going to prove to be a waste. There must be correction and reproof. Consider the wisdom in these words. Proverbs 9:8 says, do not reprove a scoffer lest he hate you. Reprove a wise one and he loves you. How many leaders, how many teachers, how many mores, how many deacons, how many pastors, how many community heads, how many spiritual influencers hate you because you're bringing the truth, because you're being obedient, not knowing that they're being scoffers because their lack of discernment. But how many of those say thank you when you bring the truth? How many of those who fit that description say, I love you, to helping me to improve and grow closer to the Most High in obedience and in maturity? There's a difference. There are so many so-called mores, teachers, pastors, deacons, bishops, spiritual influencers that are criticizing the obedience. And the obedient ones sometimes doubt what they're saying and presenting. But they look at the scriptures, they look at the life in it, and they hear the convictions from the Almighty Father saying, speak the truth and deliver the correction. But identify who the correction will be most productive with. And that is to the wise one who seek to sharpen his skills, his actions, his behaviors. 1 Timothy 5:20 reads, reprove those who are sinning in the presence of all, so that the rest also may fear. Believe it or not, Yashar'al, a time is coming where there will be leaders, there will be individuals who will speak reproof in such a way that the power and might of the Almighty Father will shaken the very existence of those around into obedience or removing them. And the rest will fear. They will fear the power and might of Yahuah. Some of us will fit that bill and find ourselves facing a correction that may be embarrassing or crush our egos, but it's necessary. Revelation 3:19 says, for as many as I love, I reprove and discipline, so be ardent and repent. What do you think the face of that look like? Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, be advised, there are matters that require more work to identify than others. We will learn how to establish priorities. We will learn what is necessary and what needs to be done now and going forward. Let me read to you, O Yashar'al. Listen to these words. Romans 12:9 through 12:13. Romans 12:9 through 13. For it reads, let love be without hypocrisy. So we must ask ourselves, are those that are hypocrite among us being purged from us or corrected? It says, shrink from what is wicked, cling to what is good, in brotherly love, tenderly loving towards one another, in appreciation, giving preference to each other, not idle in duty, ardent in spirit, serving the master, rejoicing in the expectancy, enduring under pressure, continuing steadfastly in prayer, imparting to the needs of the set-apart ones, pursuing kindness towards strangers. How many of us have given thought that in this staging, in this positioning, we will come across those whom we don't know? But they are brothers and sisters. As we vet them, we will see they have a heart, a passion, and commitment, and conviction to do the will of the Almighty Father. Is there talk of how do we embrace the stranger? Or do we see people only talking about their camp, their group, their fellowship? Where is the talk about learning how to vet and prepare to receive strangers? Strangers that are yet one in spirit. We must learn, my brothers and sisters, all the dynamics that is necessary for the coming together of a set-apart nation. Emotions will be at an all-time high. There will be crying. There will be weeping. There will be pain. There will be regret. There will be rejoicing. There will be times to shout, hallelujah. And there will be times of so much remorse, some of us will be so overwhelmed, we will say we just don't know what to do. The loss of loved ones will come in the days ahead. Yet it has begun already. One of the most wisest ways to get beyond grief and extreme pain is to yield before the Almighty Father, yield to His instruction and guidance, focusing forward, my brothers and sisters. Scriptures tell us to focus forward. Because focus forward, there's so much ahead of us than what is behind us. And I'm not being cold or insensitive, but if you let the weights of yesterday entangle you, it will slow you down and distract us. Yashar'al, emotions regarding seniors. There's a respect for the elderly. There's a respect and love for our mother, our fathers, our grandparents, our uncles, our aunts. But make no mistake, the priority is the obedience to the Almighty Father. The priority is righteousness. The priority is set apart obedience. Walking. And that, in some cases, may require leaving that elder behind. Not all, but the scriptures talk about elders being gathered, some of the old ones. But there are going to be so many that are like old wineskins, stuck in their ways. Yashar'al. What is most important, obeying the Almighty Father or the senior citizen? Keep in mind, that senior citizen as well as the young, these temples are just that, fleshly earthen vessels. The priority is the spirit and the nurturing of the spirit and the worship and obeying in spirit and in truth the Almighty Father. Regarding emotions related to managing milk and meat, some people will get it, some will not. Some will still be on milk, some will be on meat. We must learn how to care, how to support, how to manage, how to understand the difference between milk and meat. Consider these words, O Yashar'al. Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12 through 14. For it reads, For indeed, although by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again the first elements of the words of the Almighty One. You have become such as need milk and not solid food. For everyone partaking of milk is inexperienced. Yes, I'm repeating that because there are so many people who are not experienced in discerning the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah. Inexperienced in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But solid food is for the mature, whose senses have been trained by practice, to discern both good and evil. Yes, I repeated some things to put emphasis on it, my brothers and sisters. We must understand the dynamics, the specifics, the details when it comes to staging, positioning, communicating, working together, or Yashar'al. Knowing the difference between good and evil. Come with me to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1 through 3. For it reads, having put aside then all evil and all deceit and hypocrisies and envyings and all evil words, as newborn babes desire the unadulterated milk of the word, in order that you grow by it, if indeed that you have tasted that the Master is good. Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, when it comes to staging, bear with me a second. When it comes to staging, we must understand what is necessary. I needed to correct something, so if the screen is black, my brothers and sisters, bear with me. Bear with me, my brothers and sisters, for those who are watching and listening. I know, my brothers and sisters, for some these could be considered some frightening times, very frightening times. But we can't hit rewind, nor can we stop, nor can we erase what's to come. We must recognize that this is the generation of Yashar'al, the generation in whom, or I'm speaking with this colonized language, but the generation that will witness what has been promised by the Almighty Father. This is that generation. Some amazing things are occurring, my brothers and sisters. Staging and positioning. Positioning, my brothers and sisters. Are we having the discussion? How far can your car go? Your truck? How far can a bus go? How far can any vehicle go? There are limitations. And when it comes to land vehicles, trains, bus, car, motorcycles or bikes, at some point, O Yashar'al, the set apart children of Yahuah must and will find themselves many at the shoreline of a geographic location and must cross it and depart that shoreline to make it to the promised land. Are we having those discussions? Timing is important. My brothers and sisters, I have a series called The Closing Scroll on this channel. I strongly encourage you to listen to every video prayerfully. Look around, my brothers and sisters, and measure what is occurring. The closing scroll is real, and I have been sounding that trumpet for years. It's not about me, but witness the hand of the Almighty Father. Prove what is true in the coming days ahead. There will be a final exodus. Movement will come and has begun for many. Have begun. Staging, positioning, have the discussion, ask the questions. My brothers and sisters, at least we find ourselves in a situation that we regret. I ask you, my brothers and sisters, are you my brother? Are you really my brother? Are you my sister? Are you one who seeks to do the will of the Almighty Father Yahuah in the name of Yahusha? By saying in the name of Yahusha is by his word. For Yahusha is the word of Yahuah. By his word. This is how we're able to communicate. The spirit of Yahusha is the spirit of the word of the Almighty Father. Pray and watch. Answers will come. There are many details. Get involved, O Yashar'al. Present your skills and talents. Make them known. Present the supplies and resources. Make it known to those who are set apart, to those who are being guided by the Almighty Father. Not just letting everybody just let it hang loose, just let everybody know, oh, I got this, I got that. No, I'm saying present to those who you've vetted. There will be some brothers and sisters saying, I got you. I got your back. I got enough water for you, me, and others. For 2 hours, for a day, for a week. There will be those that saying, don't worry. I got a pair of shoes for you. Or I got a coat for you. Don't worry. Some will leave with only the clothes on their back. And some will leave with supplies. There'll be balance. There'll be focus. And we will learn to understand that the Almighty Father sees all, knows all, and will respond to the things that are necessary to fulfill his promises. On that note, O Yashar'al, thank you for your patience in listening to this message. Thank you for being the one who pursued the will of the Almighty Father, for being my brother, my sister. Let's communicate. Let's ask questions of one another. Let's get to know one another. And come away from compromising situations, compromising camps and fellowships. Do you know that the time you spend with a camp or fellowship, if you're not discerning that that fellowship is nurturing you, teaching you, presenting the things you need to grow strong, you could be taking that time and being sharpened and growing with someone who cares, who truly loves you by the love that the Almighty Father presents. Choose wisely, O Yashar'al. Staging and positioning is a reality, and we must begin to identify those who are hoarders versus those who are being wise. On that note, be encouraged. Much shalom to you, O set-apart nation, drawn by the Almighty Father to Yahusha Mashiach. O set-apart nation that belongs to He who is the Almighty One. Again, on that note, shalom, my brothers. Shalom.